To join in with us live.
Joe Morgan had his live thing going for a few minutes. I just popped in to see what was up with him and was gabbing with him, and I told him, I said, well, possibly doing the live thing with you today, whatnot. I said, I didn't hear from you, so I said, I'll gab with you until I hear and whatnot. And he'll likely end up in the chat somewheres, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, he always does. He's always in anytime.
Yeah, Joe's a good cat.
I can do it day, night. I started some live chat. What I'll do is do a live chat just like to get a message out quick because it's a lot faster just to say something and then leave the live thing up. You could see it like a video. And I mean, I do it 8 o'clock in the morning or something. There are some guys that show up to them things no matter what day, what time, whatever. It's like within 10 minutes, they're posting the comment. They're there.
So I'm saying I might be able to sit up. I may at one point have to kind of stretch my leg out or whatnot, but it won't stop me from participating. It's for sure.
All right, but I mean, I might only stay an hour or so. I haven't been feeling well. I think I caught a cold over the holidays.
Okay.
Cold snap, and then the rain, and then after midnight. See, I live out. I'm not in the city limits. I live in a county, and there's no restrictions for shooting.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm in a development where if I shoot, I don't have a backstop. If I shoot anywhere, there's a possibility I can hit someone's home or dog or whatever.
Wow.
Well, these yahoos started at midnight. 45 minutes they were shooting. They must have something out back there to stop the bullets because I went and looked for bullet holes today in my house and that. And they were just drunk, fucked up, yelling, shooting, and I'm like, holy crap! Scared the damn raccoons and shit away. Yeah.
We heard a few. At first, we thought it might have been fireworks or whatever, and then I really listened close, and I said, "No, that's a shotgun."
Yeah.
And I heard like pick, puck, puck, and like, then boom, 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 and but then down the street they had fireworks. It was like a community thing, like for the kids and whatnot, and you could tell when they went off because the sky lit up. You know what I mean? But I mean, prior to that, I didn't see anything lighting up. I just heard noise. So that's somebody out on the back step patio, like shooting out over the water or something here, because it's still duck season here, just not at midnight, right?
Yeah, but well, see, fireworks in this state, I don't think they're legal. You can buy them in the damn Walmart stores. So there was some fireworks, but last year and this year, I mean, people are just shooting guns off. Of course, there's several large farms off away from me that people own. And, I can understand if you're on your own land and they're kind of large. The guy's got acres and acres. And if he's out there shooting just for the hell of it for New Year's, you can hear him in the distance. But this was too close to the damn house in the development, and then one of the other weirdo neighbors starts firing a shotgun or something out of his backyard, and I'm like, here we go. Oh well, I guess. Oh, it looks like we had 3 viewers and we're down to 1 now. So
now see, when I chat with you on here, like I remember when I used to go on Scott's chats. I don't know what happened or changed, but I can't see the chat log. Like I can't see the.
Right, it's weird.
Yeah, like on his I could, but on yours, and if I ever went on Sean's, I can't, and I don't know what happened. So,
it's all generic. When you pick the views, you got several choices. You can't see it now, can you? No.
No.
All right, let's try this. No, that just puts you in a smaller box and me in a.
Yeah, it just puts me off to the side there. That's not the issue. It's just that I can't see like the comments or anything like that.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah. So the other day I was over at a guy's place and I contemplated picking up a rifle, but him and Han, it's a Model 94 Winchester, built in 58, 30-30. The whole sad part of it is the old chap passed away. He had several guns, I guess. But the 30-30 was left in a gun case for 30-some years in a basement.
Ooh. They got that weird speckly rust all over it.
But the bore is perfect and the wood is perfect, and the guy wanted 5.5 for it. I was half tempted. But when you think of it, I'm not really a big lever guy. The only lever guns I really liked was Marlin. I was never a big Winchester guy for levers. I love their bolts. Like I got a Model 70 300 Win Mag. I love that gun. It's like really, really sweet shooting, nice smooth bolt, you know. But I don't know. It's like he had told me. He says, I bought the group of guns off of the guy's family. The old fella passed. He had the 30-30. He had a Remington Model 1100 semi-auto 12 gauge left-handed at 3-inch chambers one. It looked like it was brand new. Like the 30-30 was the only one they found in the basement in a case. All the rest were upstairs in a gun cabinet. Like this 30-30 was in a closet in a with a trigger, like one of them cable type strap locks to hold the lever closed inside the case. And you can actually see that the lock's been on it that long that there's like a wear mark onto the wrist of the wood, where it went through. Oh. So it was on there for quite some time. But they had the Remington 1100. You had an 870 Wingmaster pump action 12 gauge. That was just like brand new. He also had a Remington Model 742 semi-automatic 30-06 with the 18.5-inch barrel. And he had a Remington Model 740 30-06 with the regular length barrel with a scope on it. But I'll tell you, the other guns were in some shape. They didn't take long selling, but the only one he had left was that 30-30. And I don't think it's been fired in some time, because the box of ammunition that they found in the cabinet for that gun was the old Dominion CIL 170 grain clean core soft point, like the old-fashioned yellow and blue box, probably from the 60s.
Yeah, that's usually you find it. Because I bought one. I got an 870. That's what happened to it. I think the gun was never even fired. But somebody shoved it in a case and left it somewhere where you had the temperature change, and it left it in a beautiful bluing. It left it fine little speckles of rust, and even when you it ruined the finish. And I bought a 94, and I got it because the gun store had it. I paid at the time, I only paid like $300 for it. And what it was is where the receiver was, where the guy grabbed it and would walk through the woods with it. Okay, that was all worn, and the outside was worn. I ran the numbers. It was like 1974. And it's just, he carried the gun. He hunted a lot. And there was outside wear, but inside the gun was like new. He probably never fired a box of shells through the damn thing. And I used that as my platform to test my reloads in.
Yeah, I think that's what this one is too. Is more of a case that it sat around more than it got shot, because the rifling was like brand fire new in it. And I ran the serial number through the Winchester website, and 1958, it had the flat, like the waffle style, a butt pad on it, like shotgun style. And nice walnut. The wood was great on it. Actually, the wood held up very well. Nice fit, and it was never restored. None of the screw heads are messed up. And it was never drilled and tapped for a scope mount of any kind. So it was a nice original gun, but just that hole into the barrel and on the sides of the receiver was that like pocking or freckling the whole thing. Must have been into dampness.
Yeah, but see, that detracts from it. And that's, I don't know, that's a little, can't say, because Winchesters aren't made anymore other than outside the U.S. or whatever the hell.
Yeah. So, well, Mossberg, didn't they make a clone of it or something similar to it? Or?
Somebody was doing it. I think they were making them in Japan.
Yeah,
and that's where they had a run of 94s a few years ago.
a friend of mine, a couple of years back, he ended up buying one of those 94 Winchesters, but it was the newer type, like, and I think it was chambered in 450 Merlin. It was called a timber carbine. I think it only had a 16.5-inch barrel on it, but you talk about something that belts fire.
Yeah, I mean that's they were wherever they were making them. They made them like in 3855. I think is that one?
3855 is a pretty mild shooting cartridge, but like the larger calibers that were on the 94, like the 375 big bore basically is a 3855, but more modern. You can actually shoot the 3855 round in the 375, but you can't take the new 375 round and shoot it in an older style 3855 because the pressures are too high.
Yeah,
but it's like shooting 38 special and 357. Like if it's a 357 mag revolver, you can conversely shoot, but if it's an older 38, it's not really made for shooting the Magnum in it, eh?
Yeah, that's how they do it. Yeah, because I was looking at one and they were making them with an octagon barrel and that and everything of the new 94s. I was looking to get one, but they were well over $1,000 or something like that.
Oh yeah.
So kind of backed off that.
Well, up here right now on like Unearthing Gun Post, it's like an online sales thing, like something similar to what it's like private sales, right?
Right. Looks
so
like our list here.
Yeah, right. And I was on there last evening just poking around looking, and the average 94 in good shape in 30-30 is selling for about $750.
Oof.
Yeah, and if it's a 32 special, you're talking $1,200.
Is it easy to find ammo up there for it? The 32.
What's that?
Is it easy to find the ammo? The 32.
32s, yeah, that's when they had like the shortage of, well, still the shortage because there's lots of things that aren't available. A 32 special, the local Canadian Tire store used to sell the Winchester brand of ammunition for it, just a 170 grain PowerPoint. And the last couple of times I was in there just looking to see what they had, I didn't see any. Yeah, same with 303.
I knew a guy that had one. He had a Winchester, I believe, 32. And he asked me for ammo. And it's going back 15 years ago. Some of that, like 16 gauge shotgun shells and something like the 32s were hard to find. And where I live in New York State, it's probably one of the most common guns. At one time, until they imported a ton of SKS rifles, the Winchester 94 was the most commonly owned or the most owned rifle in the United States of America for many, many years, you know.
Yep.
And, you know, back up where I live, because in the Adirondacks, you're not going to get a rifle shot more than 100 yards. Okay.
No.
So that was the gun everybody hunted deer with up there, or black bear, about the only other large game you got running around up there. And you could find them in 30-30 and 32 Winchester special. A lot of guys, a lot of old timers had them in the 32. So to me, that's like, you know, it's like going to the grocery store and buying a box of friggin' cornflakes. Okay, you know.
Yep.
And I remember this guy goes, well, I got this 32 Winchester. He goes, can you find ammo? And I mean, I looked for a couple months, and all of a sudden, I went to the Gander Mountain, which was the big retail store. I was wandering through, and I found some of it on the shelf. You know, it's like 30-40 Craig.
Yeah.
You know, you always found 30-30, 32 special, 30-40 Craig, 30-06, 308, 303 British, 8mm Mauser, because there were so many guns. It was unheard of not to find a box of Remington or Winchester in those calibers. And all of a sudden, a 30-30 or the 30-40 Craig just evaporated. there was no ammo, no brass, nothing. And I just bought 2 of them at an auction and wanted to reload for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they were getting for a used piece of brass $1 a case or $1.50 a case. And then what they do is like Remington now, it's like 32 Smith & Wesson. It's like every 2 or 3 years they'll have a run and they'll make the ammo.
Yep.
And you'll find, brass and reloading components, but like every so many years, it's not a standard item. And I guess people got crazy about it. So after a few years, all of a sudden I went in the store and there was the Remington core lock. And then I found reloading components online and I bought, I think, 100 or 200 cases and just put them up.
Now, I'll tell you what my buddy just got in his gun shop that was kind of interesting. He messaged me last evening, wished me a happy new year or whatnot. And he had just got a powder and bullet order, but no primers. But they sent him the bullet that Hornady makes for the 7.35 Carcano, the .300 diameter, 128 grain. He got a box of those and mixed in with his stuff.
If you know somebody looking for them, you can sell them in half a second.
Yeah, but like I said, it's because he had asked me. He said, "Do you remember what caliber it's for?" He says 7.35, and he was thinking of the Argentine. I said, "No, that's for the Carcano."
That's for the
He said, "Well, they're 6.5s." I said, "No, they did make them in 7.35 by 51. It's similar to a 308 Winchester cartridge style, but it's not.
It's 300 thousandths in diameter."
Yeah. So I told him, I said, somebody along the line may want to buy those for something else. I'm not sure what other rifles utilized that bullet, but it was 128 grain soft point.
Yeah, I got a perfect load for that. That's the only thing I fire in those Carcanos is that bullet. Okay, I could have got a cast bullet and tried to do it, but I can buy those Hornadays and the amount that I shoot. I buy three boxes of the Hornadays, and for me to cast the bullets, I only got like 4 guns maybe in that caliber, and I don't shoot them that much. But yeah, you can't. There's so many of those Carcanos down here. People are still scrounging for 6.5 and all that other stuff, and they can't. You can't get the bullets, be it PPU, Hornady stopped making the long 6.5 bullets. You can get brass. They get that PPU brass that you can get fairly easily. And Lee makes a set of dies, so you can actually reload without going broke.
No,
that's what I tell these guys. Learn to reload. Whatever.
Yeah. The only problem we got up here right now is primers. And I asked him when he was going to get some. He didn't know. He tried. Well, the only thing he has there right now are bench rest primers.
Yeah.
If you were stuck and you had nothing else to use in a standard rifle cartridge like 308 or 30-06 or something, they might be okay. But you're getting into shooting big magnums that you're lighting off a lot of powder, you might not get the best performance of it. I'm not sure, but like myself, I've got enough to keep me going for a while. But he got his powder in, and this was interesting enough. He got some 4350, some H1000, and some Varget. And those 3 particular powders per pound were $93 plus the 15% tax.
Oof.
And the rest of them, now I've got a pound that I picked up from him not long ago. This stuff right here, the H335, I use this quite a bit in different things. And it's $68 with taxes.
Man, I was looking for primers. I found somebody had some Aguila primers, small pistol primers. It's like $90 1,000. And what you'd have to do is you got to pay him 30 some odd dollars. Then he wants 3 or 4% for insurance coverage, mailing it on top of it, and all this other stuff. It's going to end up being $125 US or more, 130 to get it. And then because it's when you get it shipped, I don't know if they have it up there. UPS is the only one that'll send it, and you have to have that hazmat fee, hazardous material fee. That's $30 that you got to pay because you got to put that flammable solids or something on the package, and it's sent separately.
Yep.
Same.
Go ahead.
Same with primers. Primers or powder has to be the hazmat.
Yep.
And that so.
Because I was going to order some 16 gauge shotgun hulls from a place out west that deals ballistic products stuff, as Bill Ozer Fine Guns. And all he has right now, he has Fiocchi and Rio hulls, but they're pre-primed.
Yeah.
So a bag of 100 is $40, which isn't bad. They're brand new hulls. But to ship them from Alberta to here would cost me probably twice what the product is worth just in shipping charges.
Ugh.
So what I have coming from out west, a friend of mine, his dad was a field representative for CIL Industries in Valcartier, Quebec. That was the ones that made Dominion ammunition, you know, and Imperial ammunition. Well, he was a field representative, so he had a bunch of stuff like the shot shell wads, like that I use, like those CIL wads. Like I got these here, just like stuff like this here. This is all brand new stuff that he had got. Like this is all from the 1950s and 60s, but they're brand new boxes. I got a bunch of this stuff from him, but what I got coming is 303 bullets that were given to him as 50 package samples. Copper point expanding, 180 grain bullets, some saber tips, and what was the other ones? The big round nose KKSPs. He's got 4 or 5 different grains and bullet types for 303, so he's sending me those. He also picked me up a box of the Spear Hot Core 180 grains for the 303, and 300 paper shot shells, like Federal Gold Medal once fired. There's a shop out there that deals with the skeet club, and once the skeet club's done with them, they put them in this big 45-gallon drum, and they sell them off to the shop, and they put the money towards the range, right, for range upkeep, you know. And I got 300 of those coming, so that'll keep me going for my shot shells. And 303 is some hard to find. I got lots of brass, and like I said, my primers are okay, and I got plenty of powder. But geez, you talk about a hard time trying to find a component bullet. It's like next to impossible.
Yeah. See, well, I don't know how Graphs. I used to buy them all. They got that place out in I think it's Arizona, Graphs, and they're the largest mail order thing there. And usually they stock all that. If somebody makes it, they have it, and it's true. Some of the stuff's been out of stock for over a year.
Yeah.
And I figure with all the 303s, that's common. That's probably a more common rifle globally than like 30-06 at one time. 30-06 was popular, 8mm Mauser. That's Well,
I would say the Lee Enfield rifle, like cross continents, would probably be the most common.
Yeah, it is. That's why they've always made ammo here in the United States. There's so many of them around. All right.
Well,
I think we got 12 viewers and 1 comment. Mauser Waffen, yeah, thanks for chiming in there. Used to have 356 Winchester. That's when they made the 94s back there. They had them different calibers. They were coming out.
Yeah, I had one in 307 actually.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember when they came out.
Yeah. You know what? I never could quite. It was kind of, no pun intended, Winchester kind of shot themselves in the foot, because basically all it is a semi-rimmed version of a 308 and a lever gun.
Right.
Yeah. And I bought mine brand new from a local shop here. It was next Tierra model, like the checkering, nice gun. and they were the 94s that had the cross block safety into the back of the action. So I went to the gun range with it, and every time I shot it, it would split the brass from the shoulder back about 1/4 of an inch. So we thought it was ammunition, so I bought another box. Same thing happened, and it heard extraction, but the gun was shooting accurately. So took the gun back to them. They gave me another brand new one off the shelf, and that one there had no split casings but sticky extraction. So I just took the gun back and got my money. I didn't bother keeping them. I thought maybe they were just a bad batch of guns, or maybe there was just the pressure was still a bit much for that action. You know what I mean?
Well, it didn't stick around long because I seen one. There's a guy at the local flea market. He loves lever action rifles, any kind. Old, original, whatever. He loves them. He buys them and that. And I think he had the ammo. Yeah, I think he had the ammo for the rifle. He had a bunch of it. Somebody come up there. They must have went and bought out a store or something, because he had a whole range of ammo. And of course, he buys this van load of ammunition, not knowing what half of it was.
Yeah.
And, he had some high dollar stuff in there, but nobody was going to buy it. And he had some of that 308. And I think I found somebody that had a rifle and bought that, because I put it on a local listing. And what the hell else did he have? He had that, I think 50 Action Express.
50 AE, yeah.
And one guy had a pistol and that, and then he wanted all this money for it. And some of it he didn't want a lot of money for, because it was all new ammo, but the boxes were kind of beat up. And I ended up selling it all to one guy, but he had a bunch of oddball, and that was one of them. And I don't know, everyone kept telling me, well, that's that rifle they made that the same thing as a 308 or something, But they didn't stick around long and last long, so it might not have been a bad gun. It might have been just the whole idea and the design.
To get two rifles with problems consecutively, one was splitting the brass, and I thought it was an ammunition problem. And then we tried a different box of ammo, like a different lot number, and it did the same thing. So then I tried the other gun. It didn't split them this time, but it was hard. It was like really, really hard. So if there was a burr in the chamber or maybe something, I don't know, but definitely an issue.
Yeah, well, don't blame me. And that's why I don't think they stuck around long.
Yeah. And I was over at a buddy's place the other night, and we were chatting about a few things, and some old timer gave him these here for me, these old Canuck 16 gauge rounds, old number 4 bird loads. So we'll put those to good use. I got a couple of 16 gauge shotguns that they'll make use in.
Yeah, because I know this one person I knew said, some guy sold me 3 shotguns. I said, really? He goes, yeah, they were real cheap too. I got them. I said, all right. They go, I'm looking for ammo. I said, you can find 12. Well, they're not 12 gauge. They're all 16 gauge. And the only place I had to order it, the only where I can find 16 gauge shells, I had to order it online. And it was Herder's or something.
Yep.
And I got the whole case. And I said, look, just give me, I got 2 different size shot. I said, just give me what I paid for them. And I said, I'll take down the flea market and sell them. And I tried selling them, and I had a couple people would buy 1 box or something. Then I dragged them around all summer. And then I called the person back and said, you got X amount of money? They go, yeah. I said, I'll give you all the leftovers. And you got 2 cases of shotgun shells, so you and your sons and everybody can go hunt with them guns.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the end.
It's making a comeback. Like Browning's making the new A5 in 16 gauge, and I know a guy that bought one. It's an A5 Ultimate, beautiful gun, nice wood on it. It's that new style A5, and he loves it. But the thing is with that, see, with the non-toxic shot, you can get the bismuth rounds, the steel rounds, and be safe. Like my old 16 gauge I got here, I got a Spanish side by side. It is You can shoot modern ammunition in it, 2 3/4 Magnum loads, no problem, or rifle slugs or buckshot or whatnot. But you can't shoot steel in it because of the choke constrictions are full and full.
Yeah. Let's see. We got some input here. Reminds me of my father's Winchester Model 100.
Yeah, those 100s, they had a problem with those a while back.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Talked to a few others. At 100 yards was all over. I guess the accuracy. They all had the problem. And then another one guy, you can't find 16 gauge shells at Walmart. Well, I don't know. We got the politically correct around here. Walmart they don't sell any handgun ammunition. I know some of them you can still get shotgun shells. It depends. If you go out in the country, okay, or outside the big cities, they still have gun racks and all that. And some of them said they're not selling guns no more. Then they do sell guns, but only bolt action rifles and shotguns. They never sold handguns.
No.
Not in my state. I know.
Well, now, Walmart here, before Walmart was Walmart in Canada, they were called Woolco. And Woolco used to sell guns and ammunition and scopes and stuff like that, and binoculars and hunting gear. When Walmart took over, at first they sold guns for about a year or two, then they stopped the guns, kept the ammo, and then all of a sudden they stopped selling ammo. Like up there now, they do not sell ammo. They don't even sell hunting licenses anymore. They used to sell like resident deer permits. They used to sell fishing licenses and everything. They don't even do that anymore.
Well, what happens is, when I was watching a TV show, I think on MTV, and a guy went and they were talking about gun control. And this is back in the 90s, or it was back a ways. And this guy just told me, yeah, I can get a gun. He walked into a Walmart, bought a Monster Cruiser shotgun and a box of shells and walked out of it. And the minute that aired on TV, and of course it was inner city in the hood. Okay. Yeah. Once they showed that on that TV show, that's where Walmart decided. Because when I worked the night shift, I get out of work, they put a super center up there. And I go there in the morning. They had the damn fried chicken. We get a bag of fried chicken. And I was wandering around, and I used to shoot a lot of trap and that. And they had a 100-round carton, 12 gauge shells. So I got to eat some stuff, and I got shells. And I remember checking out at 2 and just going home. And then I came a few months later, and after these TV things, they told me, well, we don't sell any ammunition after 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Or something in the evening. Or, I guess like alcohol or something. It's from 9 o'clock in the evening till whenever the hell in the morning.
It's like last call.
Yeah. Whatever the hell. It's like, come in at noon and buy the ammo. It's going to stop me from shooting somebody at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? No,
not really.
But then it's just, I noticed all like here in the inner city, they don't sell any weapons. And then they did this stuff, no 9mm, no handgun ammo. They don't sell, so it's political. I didn't realize a lot of these huge retailers, do you see something on TV or something? They get all bent out of shape because people stop buying shit there, and they will change or do anything, law or no laws. Okay. And it's crazy. But,
what's with the thing down there with you guys with the Russian ammo? Didn't they try to stop, or they did stop the ammo from Russia coming in, like for the Mosin and the Gans and all that?
Yes, they did. They stopped the Russian, and the only thing is, the Russian ammo was all the steel case stuff. It'd be 9mm. The whole line of Wolf or Tula, they sold a lot of ammo because the stuff, them boxes of shells were like $6 for pistol rounds. Okay, steel case stuff. So they were popular. People bought a lot of it. Now, what happened is when they had that ban, okay, what did he say? Walmart stopped selling handgun after school shooting 2018. Okay. When they had that ban on Russia, it's just Department of Commerce will not, or the ATF or whoever the hell issues it. Whenever you want to import ammunition, it has to get approval. And stuff's not armor piercing or incendiary rounds. You get the ammo and you file a document and you give them like a number. Okay, same thing when they ban the Chinese ammo. All right, say I'm going to buy 1,000,000 rounds of 7.62 by 39, which that was really popular in its steel case shit.
Yeah, it was.
That's good for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So when they announced that about 2 years ago, you could still request to import the ammo. Okay.
Yeah.
But after a certain date, they wouldn't allow you to file that paper. So if everybody went there, filed them papers, they had 2 years to get the stuff. The stuff
like a grace period.
Yeah, well, no, it goes out for 2 years. But after that date, you could not file that request anymore.
Oh, okay.
So everybody ran down there, filed their requests, and it's good for 2 years. And the stuff comes in, but now it's priced right below a quality brass reloadable cartridge. I mean, just a couple dollars difference. And I'm like, you got to have rocks in your head to be buying that steel case shit almost for the same price as good quality brass case ammo.
Yeah.
And it's still around.
What's that?
It's still around, but you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. It's expensive. That's
like up here. We used to have Bernal or Barnwall.
Yeah. Bernal. That's another one.
Yeah. And we had Canadian Tire still sells that. They got it in 30-06. Some pistol rounds like 40 Smith & Wesson 9mm. The SKS round. I think 308. But we used to get it for the 54R. It used to be Brown Bear, Silver Bear.
Yeah.
And then you used to get the MFS, the black box, with that 203 grain hunting bullet. For hunting purposes, I used to shoot that in my PU sniper. It hit like a sledgehammer. It was good. I mean, it wasn't the most pinpoint accurate ammo, but it's no problem for hunting deer.
Yeah, and something like that, if the steel case works good, you're not going to shag brass out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff goes off, it works, it's good. And a lot of people bought it, and it was popular because, like, in the 9mm, and like I used it in 9mm Makarov. Okay.
Yeah.
I bought cases of the stuff because it worked in all them foreign military guns. That's what the hell they used anyway in it,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, now you can still get it because I was looking; it's still available. And they were talking after the first increase. The guy said some guy went to some huge ammunition wholesaler, and the guy goes, I already got the letters. I forget. I think it was this time last year. They got the letters. The price of everything is going up. And the one guy showed him the price sheet. This is what I was paying for a pallet of this ammo. This is now the pallet price for the Russian stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
And he said it's going to be an increase. All of them, Wolf, Barnall, all of them were going to have an increase.
And I used to like getting that ammo because at one point up here, the 54R, like hunting ammunition was really hard to come across.
Yeah.
And we were getting, there was another brand from Serbia called Igman.
Yeah.
And it was marketed under Bell. And I think Mr. 314299 did a video on that stuff, shooting at his PU sniper. And that stuff was loaded hot as hell.
Yeah, see, it's like I bought an old Yugoslav Mauser. Oh, hold on a second. Hey, Rob, glad you chimed in. Actually, cheaper for me to buy Yugoslavia Surplus ammo than Tula. Okay, everyone raising the prices. Yeah, see, the Yugoslav Surplus, you just can't reload it because it's got the Barrett and primers, but it's good stuff.
Yeah.
But like I was telling you, I bought an old Yugoslav Mauser, And the guy, what it is, the sights are set at 300 meters. And the guy that bought it bought all this different ammo, and he was shooting it. He just didn't realize, if you're lining the sights up, yeah, it's going to shoot higher than shit. You either have to change the front sight blade or something like that.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
he sold the gun to somebody, and the guy sold it to me with all the ammo and that. I said, it was a decent price. And they had some 8mm ammo in there. It was either Bernanke or something. It was a European brand.
RWS?
I'm not quite sure. It was either German made, it was somewhere made there in Europe. And it was just hunting ammo.
Yep.
You fire the Remington, you fire this, you fire the Surplus. That stuff, okay.
It's stout.
And man, yeah, when you fired it, you knew it. It was a hell of a lot different. See, that's where they warn you, like them old 88 Mausers and that. Don't be putting that stuff in there. Because that stuff in the 98, I mean, the recoil.
Yeah.
There was a big difference.
The same as a 30-06, pretty much.
Yeah, but they load it. The European hunting loads are loaded a lot hotter.
Oh, yeah.
And, because the military rounds are pretty rugged.
Yeah. I had some here years ago. It was the old Norma 196 grain Alaskan bullet for the 8mm Mauser. And I had just a commercial 98 and 8mm Mauser. And I'll tell you, that had it had a boot to it compared to shooting Winchester or Federal. Because if you look at the ballistics on, I think the Federal boxes show ballistics on the back. They are on par with a 32 special. It's the same like bullet weight. The velocities are pretty much on par. They load it to that pressure for it to be safe in all Mauser rifles chamber for that round.
Right. Let's see.
It's still perfectly good for hunting, but it's just nowhere near what the caliber's capable of.
Right. Well, it's like the 6.5 Swedish. And them old bolt-acts, you don't want a hot one. I think we talked about that before.
Yep.
But if you had a brand new Seiko or any well-made brand new rifle, that cartridge can be loaded a hell of a lot hotter and do better.
My buddy has a Model 70 featherweight in 6.5 Swedish, and I've still got my dies here, and we loaded him up some. He went to go moose hunting, and he was determined to take a 6.5 because it's a nice smooth shooting gun, right? He doesn't want to go with a big Magnum, but he wants something that carries a long way, right? 6.5 is really good for long range. So I figured at the loads we were putting through it, it was pretty much on the heels of a 270. It was splitting hairs.
Let me see. One guy quoted here on Gunbroker, the spam cans, 400 round cans, or 440, whatever they are. 54R, $400. You're
Buck
better
around.
You're better off buying brand new commercial ammo from like Fiocchi or somebody. They make it, or even PPU. PPU, it's maybe a little over $1, and you can reload the brass.
Here's something I picked up the other day too. I was going to mention to you. I don't know if we're mentioning PPU. There was a young fella on the gun post thing, and he had 2 boxes of 30-06 rounds for sale. And the Canadian Tire up here doesn't accept returns on ammunition. So what had happened, I guess he went there to buy 2 boxes of hunting rounds, PPU, and they sold him 2 boxes of Full Metal Jacket. The boxes, they look identical.
Yep.
Yeah, and he took them home, didn't pay attention, and then they went to go to the shooting range. And when he opened the box, here they were, 150 grain Full Metal Jacket. So, but on the box it says 4M1 Garand. So they must load that to the M2 ball level.
Yes, because that's what happens. These people, you have to. You just can't stick any type of ammo in an M1 Garand. Okay, you'll bend the op rod. All right, and these people just don't get it. You know, they go get that steel case stuff from Russia. I don't think that's a good idea in any gun like that. But yeah, because I forget what the powder is.
I
There's a
think they
certain,
use 4895.
yeah, 48.95. It's 48.95, 150 grain bullet, and you're good. You're good to go. And that's basically all I load the 30-06 in, because in case the ammo gets mixed up, I put it in brands. You know, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. We got, okay, Yugoslavian gun first. Okay. Wonder how much 2 cases of 8mm M75 900 rounds each are worth now.
Hmm.
Not quite sure what military ammo it is, but if you watch, they were getting a bunch of ammo in, and some of it wasn't stored right. When they sell this military stuff, you can see the boxes are all screwed up and everything, and they're loose or whatever. And Mike B had a thing where he bought a bunch of this Eastern European ammo. It was either Romanian or something, or Bulgarian, and you know, he bought it and it was cheap. But when he was testing it, he went out and tested it. He had some duds, he had some hang flyers. Some of them were bad. Some were the ones that go click and then
Boom.
bang, yeah. And a bunch of them were done. And that's why I tell these guys, you know, how much are you going to shoot?
Yeah.
Go buy a box of cartridges and shoot it, or, you know, I know it's expensive.
Save your brass.
But save your brass and either, you know, sell it to somebody that reloads or have somebody reload it for you. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's not that difficult. I mean, that's why I
No.
reloaded when I was 16 years old, is because, you know, I'd go fire a couple boxes of shells and I'd go load them up, and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but because
Well,
now,
it's like me with the old guns and the old shotguns. It's like you with your black powder cartridge rifles. It's the same idea. You just can't go to your local gun shop and pick up a box of rounds for your Dutch Beaumont. You know what I mean? So
or
you've got to be creative. You've got to sit there and you've got to do some homework, and you put some effort into it, and you can make craft ammunition for that gun and put it back on the range. But a lot of people just see that as a hindrance more than anything. And, you know, you can
yeah,
get the gun for a fair price, but then you got to go start like loading ammo. And I was loading 43 Mauser, you couldn't find like anything around. So what I was doing was taking 4570 cases, and I did some experimenting and I got them to work. So I started making my 43 Mausers with 4570, and I would get probably 5, maybe 6 firings before the brass would start to show signs of it's at its wit's end, right?
yeah,
But you
yeah,
can
it's
still do
normal.
it. Yeah.
But I mean, it's like the 6.5 Carcanos,
Mm-hmm.
and the ammunition that you get. Nobody has loaded ammo. Why PPU doesn't do it? It makes a 140 grain bullet for the 268, I think it is, or whatever
Mm-hmm.
diameter. Um, Nobody makes the correct bullet, you know, other than when Hornady stopped, and that stuff was expensive. I remember I bought a Carcano, and guy goes, "You want a box of cartridges?" It was like $38 he wanted for that box of Hornady ammo,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
I'll go reload it, man. Other,
Mm-hmm.
you know, than do that. But you know, yeah, like 6 or 7.7 Japanese. You can buy. I don't see live ammo. You can buy the PPU brass. You can buy the bullet.
Yep.
That you just load that to 30-06 friggin' load data for the same weight of bullet, and heck, those guns are fun to shoot. Okay,
Yep.
but you got to reload the ammo. And actually, I've sold at gun shows and flea markets. I've sold thousands of rounds of both of them. 7.7, um, the Carcanos, the 6.5 Japanese. Something about they cut the chambers big deliberately. Okay,
Yep.
because
Speaking of which, there's something you don't see very much. That's an actual 6.5 Jap military round.
right,
That big old long bullet, eh?
it is.
Yeah, I've got 2 of those. They were mixed in with a batch of Swede ammo I got from a guy, and I was just kind of fingering through the jar, and I seen these 2 nickel bullets, and I said, well, that's got to be surplus. And I picked it up, and I said, it's awful short. So I got my calipers out, and I said, that's 6.5 by 50. That's jab. And there's no markings or no stampings on the head of it or nothing. It's just like
that's
it's
ammo, just an X, the huge krypton, and there's no stampings. That's
nothing.
How the ammo was. But see, yeah, they do that. They will stretch and that's because they used to get corroded or something, and that's why they chrome line the bores on the 7.7s, because they had trouble in the tropics, and that's a problem for loading them. And I've done some work with them, but it's hard to get a good gun, okay, with a good bore that isn't ridiculously priced, like $800 or $1,000 now. What they get for them, it's insane what I've seen. Let's see, Canadian surplus 54R is 195 Canadian dollars per 440 round tin at Marstar, Chinese manufacturer.
Yeah, they're out of Van Cleek Hill, Ontario.
Yeah, but see, you guys can still get the Chinese ammo.
Yep.
We can't. They that was that political thing back there under the Clinton administration. And what it boiled down to is they didn't like who was ending up with all that money. It was a political thing. Whoever, I guess if you're a general or something, that's like an installed position or something, and they were selling all the old guns and all that other stuff and all that Norinco stuff. And the reason they stopped it is because certain people were getting their pockets lined on this, and I guess it caused some political issues they didn't like. Because a lot of that stuff, there was all kinds of reasonable ammo and all that other stuff. Yeah, and Happy New Year to you, Shane. So now we get some posts. Really ain't had many since we've been talking here. Ronnie, no, just a few of them. That because usually if somebody starts interacting, I'll answer them. But not much. And we're still only hanging in there at 17. Again, holiday thing. Everyone's still laying with their tongue hanging out of their mouth or something.
Yeah, probably so.
Because you got to remember, your time zone's 1 hour behind me.
Yeah, it's 3. It's 5 to 4 here.
Yeah. See, it's 5 to 3, but then I used to get a lot of guys from out in Alaska and California. I used to get a lot of people from New Zealand and Australia and stuff. Of course, when I had my sabbatical, I stopped talking to them, answering emails, and I haven't heard from several people. And we used to get some guys from, Europe. They probably didn't go to bed till 7 o'clock at their time.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys like to dine out and that. Well, hell, I didn't sleep. Me and the wife were up. She was with all the gunfire and shenanigans because it got warm, and we were going to sit on the porch and finish that bottle of champagne we opened. We're sitting out there, and all of a sudden, damn gunfire and everything. She got upset, went in. And I was just making sure, because if these idiots, I knew how to drive around the block. If they hit my house with a stray bullet, man, I was going right over there and starting.
Yeah, there's certainly no need of that.
So I stayed up, and then the wife was watching TV. And when everything settled down, I got the house locked up. She was into something on the TV.
Yep.
We sat there for a while. We didn't go to sleep till quite late, which usually we don't. Usually we both get up around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
To have it.
No, I guess once the weather gets a bit decent, I shouldn't say the weather's not decent here. We're getting some nice weather, but it's damp. Like you get some nice dry days. I wouldn't mind going out making a couple of shooting range videos, but it's hard sitting there in the dampness and the wind, and
No, we got the temperature got up to about 65 or 60, 58, 60. And but the only thing, yeah, watch the guns because we'll get shut.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
but it was misty today and damp. So let me see. I threw in something here. I actually talked to a company in Australia about getting Enfield parts. I could not find anything here in Canada. He told me they didn't have access to most websites now. Regulations are tight. See,
What's that?
I actually talked to a company in AUS, Australia, about getting some Enfield parts I could not find here in Canada. He told me they can't even access most American websites now, and regulation is very tight.
Yep.
Can't send gun parts. God.
It's getting to the point. What they're trying to do, and I'm a firm believer in this, is they're trying to discourage firearms use, ownership. Like, let's say you want to restore an Enfield. Well, if that Enfield to the powers that be is out of service because it's missing parts, well, let's make those parts unavailable so it stays out of service.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
See, that's the thing here. You know, you're really not supposed to be repairing guns for people unless you have a license. I know in some states that's a thing. They catch. Well, the thing is, it'd have to be you'd have to be advertising or something or some shit that it's like a business. But yeah, you can't do that.
Well, I'll tell you what they done to me. I like refinishing wood, right? So I don't advertise, but people know that I enjoy restoring old oil finishes on wood. So I had people that were taking me just the wood pieces, not the whole fire, just the wood. So one day, knock, knock, knock at my door, our provincial firearms officer. He had the criminal code with a book this thick trying to say I had an illegal gun shop. I invited him into my home. I said, you can come check whatever you want. I said, you know, he said, well, we heard you were, I said, you heard? So I said, it's hearsay. So coincidentally, at the time, my sister used to babysit for a police officer and his wife down the road. So I called at the house and I had asked him if he could spare a minute to come up. I said, I got a little thing I want you to kind of chime in on, get your 2 cents on it. He come up, he said, well, what's going on? So I explained to him what was going on. And he escorted that guy out of here. He had no right to be here. Somebody from a local business said I was taking business from them. They don't even offer that kind of a service of refinishing anything. And they tried to get me in trouble for just having a piece of wood, just a piece of wood, you know, like a handguard, fix a crack handguard, just nothing to do with an entire that requires a license. Anybody can sand down a piece of wood, put varnish on it. There's no law against that.
Well, what it is,
but they said that I had a business, and that's where it all started trouble. But they sent the guy right to my door. I couldn't believe it.
If they think you're taking business away from them, okay, and somebody must have been in a shop talking about you doing it, saying, "Oh, I know this guy. He went and refinished my rifle stock," and that. See, I don't know how it is up there in Canada, but you know, and that's what it is. And there was a thing. I heard an incident where there was a guy, again, flea market selling guns, and our laws are kind of loose here, especially where I live. If you're selling,
we're not allowed.
Okay, you're selling stuff at a flea market. Nobody's really going to come down on you for selling a shotgun or a rifle or something to somebody without a background check. So it's a handgun. A handgun will screw you up. So I don't know what this guy had, but he was somewhere competing with this guy that ran a gun shop, and he was underselling them, and it got him pissed off. So he called up a friend of his who was with the ATF and said, I want to kind of deal with this guy. You know, he goes, I want him gone. He goes, all right. And this is the one thing you can watch out. Like I said, the laws are loose, but what they'll do is every now and again, the police will set you up in a sting operation. Where a guy comes over, says, I want to buy that shotgun, I want to buy that rifle. And you go, okay, yeah, here, give me this. And he walks off with it. And then they come up and they say, hey, you just sold a gun to a convicted felon, which is, that's a federal offense here.
Oh, yeah.
And you get burned by the ATF in that. And I don't know, a guy told me, I don't know how true the story is. He said he went to some huge super flea market where they got like an acre of it and stuff and everything. And this guy comes and sets a 30 caliber light machine gun up on the table. It had cans of ammo and everything. And this is a fully automatic weapon. And he said, the guy come up and go, what do you want for it? He goes, give me $1,000. And the guy goes, can you sell that? He goes, oh yeah, it's from a private collection. He goes, it's a private collection. It's not store inventory, so I can sell it to you. And anyone who knows anything about the gun laws knows that's bullshit. Okay. So these assholes would pay him, and he said, I seen it, pick the gun up, head to the parking lot, put it in the trunk of the car. When they open the trunk, that's when they swarm down and arrest them.
Crazy.
So bring the shit back, put it back on the table.
And get next guy.
All day long. He goes, they're doing this crap. And he goes, you know as well as I do, buying old shotguns and stuff and that. If somebody has a fully automatic weapon, you don't fuck with it. He goes, just leave it alone, man. Because he goes, what are you going to do with it? He goes, ain't nothing but trouble. But he goes, but that guy was sitting there and he'd tell him, it's from a private collection. I'm just selling it. You don't need any.
Yeah, you don't. When you start hearing deals like that, it's like, I mean, you should put two and two together, and it's not to make four. It's like use your common sense. So this is, it's like when they set up the dummy deer up here in the fields for guys jacking deer, like poaching.
Oh yeah, I remember. I seen them. They had them around here too.
Yeah. So what happened? There was a blueberry field up here, and it was common for the deer to go out in the field. So they put this like deer of a lifetime out there. And, from 100 yards, it looks pretty realistic. It's like this majestic, giant, huge buck. And up here, anybody that knows any better, our deer genetically don't grow like that. But somebody who's inexperienced and whatever is going to go and take a pot shot at it from the road. Well, I bet you in one day they got 13 or 14 guys shooting at this dummy deer. So me and my buddy drive by, and we stop. We look at this thing. And I said, look at that dummy deer. He said, how you know it's a dummy deer? I said, watch this. So I walked up the field, and I put my arm around the deer like this to take my picture. And they come out of the woods hollering at us to stop interfering with an investigation, or we will be charged for interfering with an investigation. I said, but you can't stop me from poaching. I said, I'm not doing nothing illegal. I'm taking a picture with this dummy deer. I said, good luck to you. I said, you won't get this dummy.
And one of them steps out and goes, you're the one that refinishes the gun stocks.
No, he didn't. No.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, but like I said, it's just to see how, like you said, down there with that automatic rifle, it does private collection, no paperwork, just take it out of here, we won't say nothing type deal. Yeah, people that do that, I mean, they deserve to get caught because they make it bad for everybody else, like up here, like you look at the scrutiny like we're under right now. And it's just the fact is that there are people that have abused the system with the importation and the illegal stuff and not obeying the laws that make it bad for everybody else. So now you got average Joe and all these buddies that are paying the price,
Yeah. Let me see.
The criminal don't care.
Of course not. I live in a sanctuary country. Don't mean much. At least they have a policy on the Second Amendment. Bargain. Yeah. So yeah. No one's a. Oh, all right. Few comments coming in. We're still holding steady. We only got about 14. viewers. Not a lot of
Yep.
activity. Again, I should have known better than doing it on the holiday weekends.
Well, I mean, it's the way I look at it. If somebody wants to go on there and talk, if they want to come on there and say hi, if they want to come on here, ask a question like you say, feel free. I mean, if they just want to kind of sit there and watch the conversation take place, they're free to do that too, I guess.
Yeah. Due to some all right, here we got one. Due to some regulation, Numerich wasn't able to send a mag to Canada.
Nope.
No, can't have. All right.
Um,
Why is that? Rod's vintage.
that is because any part of the firearm that contributes to the actual firing, loading, or the mechanism cannot be sent to a private individual. I think a gunsmith can order it. I think, like, if, let's say, Joe's gun shop ordered a firing pin for my Lee Enfield from Numerich, he could get it. Because it's going to an actual licensed, like a dealer or a repair shop.
But you can't get it sent to your house as an individual, a firing pin.
As far as I know, no, because I used to get stuff from Numerich. I used to order bolt bodies. I used to order safeties. I used to order triggers and stuff like that when I was doing up Mausers, and they always had what I needed. It was a great spot because we had a spot out west. It was called Western Gun Parts, and I think they shut down. And Millarm used to sell parts, and they shut down. So we were starting to slowly lose our used parts outlets, and people started going to Numerich. Now, the only way you can get it into Canada with no hassle is if it falls under the antique. So let's say if I want to order a firing pin for a firearm up here that's exempt from the laws, like let's say a single shot pre-1898 rifle, let's say like a Model 71 Mauser, I could order a part for that. They can't stop it because it's not considered a firearm.
Or what's the other ones there? The
like flintlocks.
Yeah. No, the other gun there. Oh God. But yeah, I understand. So it has to be an antique, and then you can get firing pins or breech blocks or anything, like for a Springfield trapdoor or something like that.
Anything that's past 1898 that would have more than one round, like it would be a magazine fed arm or like an internal box mag, like let's say a Lee Metford Enfield rifle, even though they are kind of old, they have their cartridge fed or their magazine fed. You wouldn't be able to. It's still considered a modernized cartridge or whatnot. What else couldn't I get one time? I tried to order something from Cabela's and they wouldn't send it up. Nebraska Cabela's, I used to order from them all the time because they were the largest. The one in Kearney, Nebraska, they years ago, I used to get all their catalogs. And that's before Cabela's came to Canada. And I used to order reloading dies and whatever. And then one day I went to order something and I got this email that said that we can't fulfill your order. Call this number to confirm if there's a replacement or a substitute because of where you live. So I called, and this lady was telling me that they couldn't even send me a rifle scope in the mail. Wouldn't send me a rifle scope. Don't know. They told me it's a red line item. If it's that, you can't ship to Canada. And I had ordered. I paid for it with a credit card, and she said, "Well, I'll refund your credit card." She said, "We can't send that to you." And I said, "Well," I said, "What's the reason?" She said, "All I can tell you is that it says in our system we can't ship that item to Canada. There's got to be some kind of rule or some kind of reasoning behind it." But as far as I know, like with Numerich and all those places, like what's our spot in the States? Brownells and Midway USA and all them places, and Natchez Shooting Supply. Buddy of mine used to get stuff from them. Can't get nothing from them no more. They won't ship up here whatsoever.
Huh. So go on.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, so that must be like a company policy. They just ain't doing it. Okay, or whatever the regulation is, they're not allowing them to do it because you start seeing that we won't ship. I know the reloading places like Buffalo Arms makes a lot of cases and stuff, and they
Yes.
say no international. Everything's just U.S. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
What was it? I seen there was a spot in the States that was they were making some really nice even stock sets for like reproduction stock sets for milsurps, and some of the stuff they had was really nice. And I sent an email, and Buddy even just replied to me back. Sorry, he didn't even give me a chance to ask for whatever. Sorry, we don't send to Canada. Plain and simple. He didn't even want to entertain my question. He just basically cut me off at the chase.
Yeah. Well.
So, but same as our the firearms place that we have up here, it's called Inter Surplus. It's like remember I was telling you about that spot that they import a bunch of like guns from over Europe and those gun amnesties and all that, like those Swedish guns and Scandinavian hunting guns. Well, it says right there, we will not ship to the U.S. So even though like somebody wanted to, they won't even ship to like like you guys got an FFL or whatever. They won't do it.
Huh.
Now, I do have a friend of mine. If you go online, look up joesalter.ca.
Yeah, I know.
Now, okay, I know Joe. I've been to the gun shows up here. He's a retired lawyer, but he's got the Down East Trading down in your end of the woods.
Right.
And he's got the joesalter.ca up here. Now, Joe, as a dual citizen, can broker and he can import and export through his business. He has a permit to do so. So, but he charges a fee. And I know there's a spot out west here in Alberta that does it. They charge $350 to import a gun.
Ooh.
To get rid of the paperwork for you, but they will import the gun to that. It'll come from the U.S. into their possession, and then in accordance to whatever the Canadian laws are, then they proceed and do it, and then you got to pay the shipping from Alberta to here. And it's unless you really want something bad and it's worth the money, I couldn't be bothered with it. But I mean, there are some people that see a particular thing that they can't find here they do want, and that's the way they go about it. They'll find an importer. But I think that's the only way that you can get around with the can't send to Canada thing.
Well, how about coming out of Canada? Same deal?
I think that there's a due process to go through there too as well. If somebody like yourself would want something on Joe's site in Canada, and he could send it to his site in the States, and then you could proceed to get it from there so your guys regulate. I think you could do it that way too, but there's a lot of red tape to go through, eh?
Because there were a lot of auctions I seen up there a few years ago in Canada, online auctions, and there was some decent stuff in there I wouldn't mind bidding on. But then if they, how the hell am I going to get it out of Canada down, to my FFL? And like from what you're telling me, that's when they said, well, you could set it up to where it can be exported or whatever, and but a $350 fee to do that,
Yep. There was a spot in Alberta. They what they do is they take the information, they contact the person who has whatever it is you want. They set up the shipping through their both parties. It's all legal. It gets sent to them, not to you. And then once the importer gets it, then the importer charges you a fee to mail and to deal with the fees here. And then you got to look at too, changing over Canadian dollars to US. So really, it's a costly endeavor.
Yeah.
For us, anyway.
Yeah, well, because like I said, I would get these notices, gun auction and that. Then I'm looking. There were several of them up there in Canada, and they had an interesting collection of things there. Some things you don't find readily here, and the prices weren't insane at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. But from what you're telling me, it's caught up to you up there where.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
like
so,
I was telling, like, yeah, go ahead there. You just blurted out for a second there. It's like a lag or something was going on.
oh, yeah. I mean, so it's just I thought the import export or whatever, or like somebody seen an old antique gun that I had on a gun broker, and hey, you want to ship it to Canada? I said I don't know what the laws are. I sent a set of reloading dies to a guy, and I put them in UPS and just mailed them.
Yep.
Something, or was it? It might have been the post office. So I sent them there, and oh yeah, it was the post office. So I'm trying just a little box with dies in it. It goes up there, and I put tools on the thing. And then he's asking me, where is it? Then all of a sudden it comes back, and I can see where they opened it, ripped the package apart, resealed it, and they sent it back to me. And I never knew that, buying reloading dies were not allowed to be sent to Canada. Okay.
Anything that contributes to the manufacturing of ammunition.
Oh, I didn't know that. And see, then the guy, another thing, he should have known. If he knew that law's in place, why are you breaking my maybe it'll slip through, or maybe they won't open the package.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like up here, here's what you got to do to mail a gun in Canada. Let's say you live in another province and you say, well, Rod, I want to buy a rifle from you. Let's do it through the mail. Okay. Well, what I have to do, according to the Canadian government, is I have to have a small business account with Canada Post. Even though I don't have a small business, I have to actually make a business name. And I think I got mine here, but there's more to it. And I just called it Rodney Inc. So they send you this card in the mail. So now you technically have a small business account. Now, to send the parcel, you can't just take your gun in a box and go to the post office and weigh it and measure it, whatever. Prior to you taking the firearm to the post office, it has to be measured, packaged, weighed, and you have to go online, download an app on your device. You have to have a printer, and you have to prepay the shipping prior to receiving a shipping label. When you get the shipping label, you attach it to the parcel. Then you go to the post office, and they go beep, and just give them the gun and walk out. You've already paid your shipping. So I don't have a credit card. So that means I have to go to a store, buy one of those prepaid credit cards, and hopefully it's enough to cover the amount. Go home, get my box, pack it all up, and you're not allowed to ship without a trigger lock. Even though it's the bolts out of it, they still want a trigger lock on it. And you have to declare it as a firearm. If you get caught not declaring it as a firearm, it's a federal offense. So this is where they, in Ontario now, it's like the midpoint of the country. They have a scanner there that all the parcels from east to west and west to east pass through. So they can tell if it's labeled down as fishing rods, and they scan it through and they see this rifle, well, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble. Even though you put it in the mail and it's triggered off, you have to declare what you're sending, because if you're liable. Basically, since what happened, there was a few handguns that got delivered up here. It was on the news. They got delivered to the wrong address, and basically kids after school, they were leaving the packages on the doorstep. So these kids were at the wrong house, were actually picking up handguns, taking them into the house, and they had them in their hands. And this handgun is registered in Canada, belonging to some other guy who's wondering where his gun is, and Canada Post messed up and sent it to the wrong address. So they really tightened up on, we're going to make it to the point where we don't want to handle firearms anymore, or we're going to discourage people from mailing through us to use private couriers. And private couriers up here are just, the cost is ungodly. I had a buddy of mine that used Pure Later to mail. They did mail the gun, And where Canada Post would charge them, I think $70, they charge them $170.
Ooh.
Yeah. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to shy you away from sending, selling, shipping, discouraging you.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. And this is where it makes it difficult for me, because if I go on my gun posting and I see something I like and it's another province, I guess Canada wide, and I'm like, whoa, I'd like to buy that. Well, I have the license, I have the money, but now we have to try and make a shipping arrangement between us, and neither one of us has a business account. We can't ship the gun. So we have to find an alternate way unless we drive a long distance and meet up together. So that's what they're trying to do, is discourage not just the use of firearms, but the sale, the trading through regulations. They're not making it illegal that you can't own it, but they're making it really hard for you to have any kind of recreational use out of it, is what I'm saying.
They're just doing it to where it's such a hassle to sell a shotgun, you know, and send it. And I see that is a form of gun control, and that's what they're doing.
Another example would be in our province here, at our local Department of Natural Resource provincial ranges, and the whole entire province of Nova Scotia, there are 3 ranges that are approved for Magnum caliber rifles. There's probably 30 different ranges. So the rest of those ranges, there's a range template and a rule set. No larger than 30-06 can be taken on this range, because the range template, the back follow the range or whatever. Now, they only did this in the last few years. So they're not saying you can't take your 300 Win Mag hunting, but they're telling you can't take it to the target range where it's safe to shoot the gun in a controlled environment. Basically, I spoke to a DNR officer, and I said, well, how do I sight in my 300 Winchester Magnum to go deer hunting? He says, well, he said, the policing of that rule would be slim here because we don't have the coverage to be at every range at every time somebody takes a gun there, because you don't announce what gun you are taking. You have to book an appointment to go shoot, but they don't ask you what you're taking. But if you go there and they catch you with it, well, they can, you are in violation. Now, you're allowed pistol center fire Magnum and rim fire Magnum, but you can't have like high power, like 300 Win Mag, 7mm Rem Mag, and those Ultra Mags. They don't want you there with them. So he says, well, I guess you'd have to go set up a paper target somewhere down a dirt road. So here I am in a non-controlled environment, flinging bullets through the woods, and there could be some poor guy hunting deer that I can't see, and I could park a bullet into him. And I'm here trying to sight my deer rifle in because this government doesn't allow me to go to a range and sight my gun in safely. So what kind of gun safety is that? It's like you say, it's through regulation. They're trying to eliminate people having those high power rifles, in the woods. Oh, well, we don't want them on our range. Well, but you can take them to the woods. So to me, it's almost like a childish thing, because they're promoting an action that could possibly happen. You go flinging bullets on a backcountry road, some poor guy could be just on the other side of the tree line that you can't see, and you might have hit him. You don't know.
Yeah. Joe Morgan showed up. So.
Hey, Joe. So like I said, it's all like, and I don't like talking about too much, it's all political jargon and control, whatever you want to call it, but they're trying to backdoor everything on everybody, and they put regulation and rule on you to the point where they think you're just going to say, to hell with it, I'm not going to bother doing this anymore. I'm just going to hang all my guns up and not shoot them anymore. Or I'm not going to buy ammunition no more. Or I'm not going to go buy gunpowder anymore because it's not worth it.
Well, down here, what happened is they changed the forms when you buy a gun, which was another thing. And then this big pistol brace thing with the AR pistols.
Yeah.
They're still selling these guns with that weird brace on there. They're still available online, but they were supposed to do it in December. They postponed it. Now the guy said the ATF's gonna change the regulation in January, but maybe not till February. And what it is they just said that if you got that short thing with the brace, if you hold it to your shoulder, it's a short barreled rifle. And about 2 years ago, they got in a big argument over this. And they were going to eliminate, they were talking about removing suppressors, short barrel rifles, and sawed off shotguns. They were talking about eliminating that from the controlled items. Okay. Because they just said that it's, it's kind of ridiculous and it would do better just to eliminate it. And they went back and forth, and now they said, the one guy's going, well, we're going to come out with this change of interpretation and ruling and all this other stuff, and then now they're going to postpone it. Now there's a lawsuit and all of this stuff. But the thing is, basically what they're telling you is something you had that was legal. It's going to be to where you have to register it like automatic weapon, or either, and then they even said one option, just disassemble the thing and assemble it in a carbine form. So there's no way to enforce this because we don't really have gun registration here. In other words, they don't know the description of the gun or who has it.
No.
But just doing this, and you get all these YouTube videos about it, which is all confusing. Matter of fact, I got to make another one. Just say it's all bullshit because I get a couple thousand views. But and it's unenforceable. But what will happen is if this goes through, if you do something or get caught with this, in what was a legal configuration, now you're caught with it. Now you're up on federal shit. Okay. And even if you can say it's all a bunch of BS in that, going to court costs a shitload of money.
Absolutely.
So even if you don't end up going to jail, and even if they throw the whole damn thing out, it still cost you a ton of money and not look good. Okay. So
it's like the bullshit we're going through up here, where they come up with different rules to try and I had to laugh. One of the MPs had posted like an after Parliament meeting, and they asked this woman, "Oh, are you a hunter?" And then she says, "Well, do you have an FAC?" Well, the FAC card's been out of here since 1998. It's a PAL license. So she said, if you have a firearms acquisition card, she says, you can buy new firearms. And I advise you to get into it. It's a really good hobby to get into and whatever. And then they asked her, they said, well, what kind of guns do you use to hunt? She says, oh, I hunt everything with my 22 gauge. And everybody was like, huh? She said, oh, we hunt where she was from Newfoundland in Canada here.
Yeah.
And she said it's on there. Goody Hutchins, I think her name was. She said, yeah, I hunt with my passed down 22 gauge. I use it for everything. It's all you need. So she's telling people that she meant a 22 long rifle. And it's illegal in all the individual provinces have laws with caliber restrictions and whatnot. And in our province here, it has to be a center for big game hunting. It has to be a center fire rifle of 23 caliber or greater, and you can't use a rimfire for big game. So, like, technically, the smallest rifle that you could use in Nova Scotia for deer is a 243, because there is nothing under that bore diameter until you get to 22. That's But what they're trying to do with the energy output levels, 10,000 joules, what they tried to do was capture the larger, like, stuff that's already been prohibited in Canada, like the 50 BMG rifles and stuff like that, and the machine guns. And if you look at what they did with the shot, with a 20 millimeter bore diameter, so that would put 8 gauge shotguns as a prohibited device. So an old double barrel 8 gauge now is technically, according to that, prohibited.
Yeah, you were telling me that in our last chat.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just stuff like that, you know, and they're telling you, oh, there's other guns you can buy. Well, some people can't afford to go buy these. You know, let's say the money you got dumped into the ones you own already, that might be all you can afford. You know, and trying to use tragedy, like mass shootings and whatnot, and get rid of the firearms that were used in that, and saying, oh, they make our streets safer. That don't work. What you got to do is take the criminal off the street. It's, you know, like you said a while ago, the gun is a tool. You know, it's however the guy uses or the girl uses the tool that determines the outcome of what happens. So if it's used correctly, nothing's going to happen. It's going to be like every other time. Go out, go to your shooting range, come home. Or you go to your gun club and have a good time, go home. Or you go deer hunting and come home. You know, it's I just believe it all starts with, it's beyond the firearm thing. It's all in mental health. That's where I think it's at.
That's the problem, because all these people that do this crap, they never talk about the individual or look at, you know, tell you about this person.
No.
Some of these people have had a long history of shit. Well, the one guy that whacked them people up in New York State there, he went to the damn grocery store and just started gunning people down in the parking lot and worked his way in.
Yep.
He did say something. He went and captured a cat and beat it to death with a hammer in the garage, and his mother helped cover it up and dispose of the animal's carcass. Okay, he did this like 3 months before this.
Yeah.
That should be like in China, where, okay, he committed the crime, but arrest the whole goddamn family and convict him. Okay, because something ain't right here. Okay. Because I tell you one thing my mother would never do. If I went and murdered one of the neighbor's pets in the garage, she wouldn't help me cover it up. Okay.
No.
You know,
that music
itself is not a good thing. Okay.
No.
And you know, if you're in, see, this is another thing I know for a fact. A lot of the problems we have in society is because it's a social thing, and it's why you say mental. Yeah, mental health is an extreme, but it's just lack of concern and caring for your offspring and your children leads to a lot of these weird things. You know, and some of these mass shootings that happen in the colleges, the high schools. I think we had one here in a high school. They were just slapping this kid around, or some girl broke up with him, and he just walked into the damn school and shot 3 of them standing there in the morning or something. Which, you know, and they do this anti-bullying and all this other stuff, but you know, it doesn't stop none of this.
Well, it was like up here, they had the police officers that were gunned down, and hey, look, nobody deserves to have that happen to them, regardless. But right away, the first thing, oh, what kind of gun did they use? Oh, let's just say Mini 14. Well, we got a ban of Mini 14. It'll make the street safer. Well, the thing is that no matter what that person would have gotten their hands on, they had an idea in mind, and they were carrying through with it, regardless if they had a single-shot 22 Cooey or they had an M14, Mini 14 Ruger. It didn't matter. They had an agenda. Now, at the base part of that agenda is, did they have a problem with those people? Maybe they had an altercation with those officers before. Maybe they were mistreated. Nobody knows.
Well,
and you'll never hear about it.
Bringing that up, I was just watching. Me and my wife were watching here in the U.S., especially in our time zone, Eastern Standard. You watch live from Times Square dropping a ball at midnight. So I've done that ever since I was a kid. So we're watching Times Square, and they had that, so we watch that. I get up this morning, and I'm looking online. There's a news article, 3 police officers and an assailant, Times Square in New York City. He attacked them with a machete. So at 7:30, because I guess they block off that whole section, and they have bands, and it's televised, and this goes on, I guess, from the middle of the afternoon. So the police are there, in New York. Some teenager comes and they said machete, but what it looked like was one of these Gurkha knives,
Yeah.
big curved blade, and they were showing it. It's got like a string wrapped around it where he was carrying it around his neck under his coat or something. There's no sheath or I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
One of them Gurkha knives. And at 7:30 in the evening, he just attacked. There's some incident where he attacked these 3 police officers with a machete.
Yeah.
The big knife. And, he injured the 3 cops and then he got injured. Everybody's in the hospital, but nobody's going to die.
No.
But still, he's going there in the crowd to start some shit. He just brings this friggin' giant knife with him.
So, yeah. So what are they going to do? Ban the knives now,
Yeah. Who is that? What do we get? I heard a ping.
I heard a ping, yeah.
Let's see. Oh. It's from, what's his name there? New Year's Day gathering town. Okay.
Yeah, well, like I said, if they were to go and like under the root cause of issues, 98% of the gun violence that you do see is usually derived from a person that has some sort of a chip on their shoulder or an agenda, which would contribute to me on the mental side of things. I mean, if you wake up one morning and you just say to yourself, I'm going to rob a bank today.
Yeah.
You've got a problem. There's something, there's some underlying, that's not normal behavior. But if you don't tell anybody about it, or if nobody knows about it, and then all of a sudden something happens, and this guy goes into the bank and he makes his big debut and he guns down people, steals a bunch of money. Well, now they kind of turn. They say, "Oh, he had to use a gun for that." If we got rid of that gun, it would be less violence, and that's the mentality they've got. But in theory, the government up here has got the soft on crime approach that a person that commits an offense with a firearm, within 6 months, they're either out of jail on bail or they're on house arrest awaiting their trial. And most of those people reoffend within so many months anyway. There was just an incident up here where this guy was charged and then he was released and then he reoffended within weeks. He did another crime and they put him back on house arrest. So tell me how that's keeping the street safe. Oh, he's got a ban on firearms. Well, that big incident happened here in Nova Scotia where that guy that obtained firearms illegally, he had a lifetime ban on firearms, and the guy had his own replica police car. You don't think that was weird?
Yeah.
And that'd be like you're an ex-military guy and you're like, you know what? I want an Abram tank. And you've got a fully functional, you got all kinds of shells for it, whatever, and you think, it's all cool and you're driving around town with your Abram tank and some guy cuts you off and you decide to blow his car up with the Abram tank, you know what I mean? And then they let you off, put him on house arrest so he goes to court. Well, it'd be the same idea.
Is that why that whole series of the Trailer Park Boys, I've noticed that's like a political pun where they go in and out of jail and they're on probation or something, and then they just pull out guns and like they open a trunk and they got AK-47s and submachine guns in the trunk of the car.
They're making fun of it. Yep.
Yeah, and it shows.
But listen, how can I put this? A person that's not in the system or jail, come election time, can go vote. So if that person is good to them, they're going to hope that they vote for that person that didn't put them in jail while they're waiting, let them go home. You know what I mean? Let them go on house arrest. So we're going to throw them a little check mark for their thanks for not sending us to jail right away type deal. And that's how I think that works, but I could be wrong. And, you know, the only thing that's going to fix the problems on both sides of our border is the guy that's in charge of your side has got to go to a place where his gibberish he talks makes sense. And the guy that we got up here has got to go back to drama school where he taught drama.
You're right. I mean, it's bad here. Because the reality of it is, if you have any sense whatsoever, what's going on, the whole government is dysfunctional and it's collapsed.
Yep.
And I mean, you know, to allow this guy to go on TV and say the weird shit that he does, like he made the announcements that we run the Russians out of Baghdad. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For them to even allow that to be broadcast is strange. But see, it's going to give them a reason to do something that isn't good for anyone that lives down here. I tell you that much. That's what I feel.
Well, and I mean, up here, you know, it's like where there have been times where ethics laws by different people have been violated, but yet there's been no courses of action taken. It's like they're above that. You know, they're placed in their political power above that. They don't think they have to adhere to anything, that they can do whatever they want, you know, and it's stupid.
Any country, you get that, because those politicians are there for a reason, and the reason is people not in the government need them there to do what they need done. And usually it's some entity that has a huge amount of money behind it. And that's the way it works in any government. Okay. And ours is probably worse than any other. You know, and we got to watch what we say before they shut the whole thing down and suspend me for 2 months again.
Yeah. But it all boils down to there are things that aren't working the way they should.
Yep. And you're right.
I'm a big believer.
It's getting there close to a couple hours.
Yeah, right on.
And I'm going to get going. And like, you know, I wish I could set up something live on Rumble or something like that. Then we could talk about things, and we don't have to worry about getting caught, because like
I got you.
We were talking during the strike up there, and then with the health issues, and that's what burned me. And it was a live broadcast, and it's kind of like we got off, we got done, and like within 2 hours, I got an email. The live video thing was pulled down, and see, that one I didn't see coming. That's where I got suspended for almost 2 or 3 months or something. And I think what I used to do is I'd send an email to Joe Morgan, and then he would contact the Gun Geek. And, you know, the Gun Geek, at least, I think he had me on his. That's when I was on his live. So I can explain to people, because I can't have a live broadcast, send anything, post anything, or any of that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, then, man. Maybe we'll try this again next week.
Yeah, sure.
And see. I'll try sending you a message before that to give you a heads up.
Not a problem at all.
All right, then. All right, everybody. Have a good New Year. We're going to sign out, and we're going to try to do it again. Hopefully I can get a couple of the other fellas. They couldn't make it today because of family outings, which is understandable, and other reasons, but hopefully we'll have a few more guests again and get some more activity going on here. All right?
Yep.
All right.
Right on.
Thank you, and everybody have a good New Year's.
Yeah, you too, bud. Take care.
All right, Rod.